Perfect. So yeah, thank you, Lou, again for having me in the introduction. My name's David Markley. I work on the business solutions team here at Algorand. And to just give a brief overview of what the team focuses on is really working with companies of all sizes, from startups, people that are innovating in the DeFi space, to large institutions and governments who are interested in researching things like central bank digital currency or the regulations around how we can fractionalize, unitize, and use blockchain to make atomic trades of things like asset-backed securities. And so that's the spectrum that we get to play in every single day, which is a lot of fun and allows us to wear a lot of different hats. Specifically with regards to Algorand, if you aren't familiar, Algorand is a new layer 1 blockchain built from the ground up. So it's not a fork of any other of the protocol that is in existence today. It was conceived of by Silvio Micali. Silvio Micali is an MIT professor, Turing Award winner, really well known for his co-invention of zero knowledge proofs, and has really been at the heart of cryptography for many years now. And Silvio got introduced to blockchain and really wanted to disrupt what was known as the blockchain trilemma, the concept that you couldn't have a platform that was fast, had large or high transaction throughput, was secure, so retained all of the great benefits of blockchain that we love and we trust in cryptography, and also be fully decentralized. And so you can only have 2 out of the 3. And so Silvio and his team put mind to purpose, and the end of their several-year journey is the launch of the Algorand network. And Algorand went live, for those of you that are new to the protocol, went live in June of 2019. To hop into the protocol here and give you some background into what we have under the hood and what that enables from a user experience and from a business perspective, is what we call our consensus mechanism is pure proof of stake. Some of you might have heard of bonded proof of stake or delegated proof of stake or some of these other variations. And the reason why we call it pure proof of stake is that those other proof of stake implementations have some trade-offs. As an example, in bonded, your node validators, your runners, they have to post collateral in order to validate transactions, introducing a layer of centralization where only people who can post the associated amount of capital are able to validate. On Algorand, we don't make those trade-offs, so we enable anyone and everyone to actually validate and participate in consensus. And we can talk much more about that if there's interest to go into the technical weeds. But what that ultimately manifests itself in terms of benefits to the users is that you get real security, you get real scalability without having to sacrifice that decentralization. And we believe that this foundation is the right foundation for all businesses to build on top of, because you won't ever run into a situation where you're making a trade-off between what users are able to participate in my network and what capabilities. Can I only process transactions at a certain speed, because if not, I have to reduce the openness of the platform. So I hope that makes sense. Some other core benefits of the protocol is that it's extremely energy efficient. So as we all know, proof of work, the mining, the amount of effort that goes into solving each mathematical problem is proportional to how many people are in the network. And so that energy consumption only continues to grow as more participants join. Algorand, we've actually decoupled that. Our mining, if you wanted to make the comparison, there is no mining in Algorand, but how we come to a block, how we come to consensus is extremely energy efficient. Everyone can run it. As an example, we've run it on Raspberry Pis, which are very lightweight platforms, very lightweight computational devices. And so it can be run on a whole host of different types of infrastructures. You don't need a dedicated data center in order to participate in the network. And then how that manifests itself is that every transaction coming to consensus is very cost efficient. So for those of you that have been following Ethereum and the gas prices and the rise of that cost, it's really put a lot of the smaller microtransaction focused companies and businesses really in a hard place. On Algorand, as you can see here on the screen, the average cost since our network inception has been $0.0003 US per transaction. And so between the openness of the platform, the scalability of the platform, the energy efficiency of the platform. That's really what has set the foundation for the growth that we've seen to date. And to talk a little bit more about Algorand by the numbers and the last 18 months or so of growth, the business solutions team, the team that I'm a part of, we've helped over 400 companies, up over 500 now, have worked and integrated the Algorand technology into their stack. That's inclusive of the global exchanges that people are familiar with, asset issuers like stablecoins such as USDC, USDT. We've got a number of others which we'll talk about here in just a moment. And then also the supporting infrastructure around that. So whether it's custodians, wallet providers, other hardware technology solutions, identity providers, there's a big ecosystem that we're really proud of and that we're really excited to continue to add and grow and build collectively. In terms of usage, a lot of people like to focus in on the transaction volume. A lot of people like to focus in on the number of users. We have steadily had over 500,000 transactions per day. To put that in context, Ethereum is a little over 1 million transactions today currently. And so, we feel pretty good that within the first 12 months or so of our ecosystem being live, we're half the volume of Ethereum. And by the end of this year, we're closing in on being able to scale that pretty rapidly. And so I hope that—
David, you give any context in terms of where those 500,000 transactions are?
Sure. Yeah, so there's two large consumer-facing applications right now that you'll see if you go to any public block explorer. You'll most likely see one of their transactions in the blocks. The first one is Props. So Props you can think of as a loyalty point platform that enables any application to offer a loyalty point like service and platform for their app. So if you wanted to reward your users for filling out a survey, you can reward them in Props, and Props are being listed and integrated on many of the exchanges that we're connected to. And so now your rewards program actually has some real world value just outside of your own application. So that's one major driver of transactions and one use case that a great partner of ours that we're extremely proud of. And then the other one that you'll most likely see is a company called Planet Watch. They're a very interesting use case as well. They connect IoT devices. And the way that they think about these devices is that they're actually their own atomic entity. And so this IoT device, it records data. If you're interested in access to that data, you basically pay the IoT device. Those payments are done in their native token called the Planet. And so the IoT device is generating its own revenue, helping perpetuate, funding itself basically to continue to collect data. And then as being an owner of that device, you're entitled to a portion of the revenue that sensor captures. And they sell that data to a number of institutions, governments, research centers, universities. And so it's a super interesting two-sided marketplace, and anybody can become a sensor owner and participate and then start earning Planet tokens on the Algorand platform. In addition to those, you'll also see all of the stable coins that I'm sure Lou and I will talk about here in a second. One of the ones that we're pretty excited about is a company called Meld. They just issued a gold-backed stable coin listed in Australia within the first week of listing. They've done about over $1 million or so of traded volume. So pretty excited to see that start to ramp and take hold in what historically has been a very paper-heavy process in holding and storing physical gold bars. So it's exciting to see them bring the stablecoin to the forefront and part of their innovation.
Terrific. So that's the overview to start?
Yeah, I've got some additional slides depending on what we want to dig into, but I think that's probably a good primer. And so I'll pause there, Lou, and see if